Imagine having absolute power over the known world, yet choosing to conquer yourself instead. A man who commanded legions but spent his nights writing wisdom by candlelight. A ruler who could indulge every desire, yet practiced restraint and self-discipline. Marcus Aurelius. Before Stoicism became a trendy self-help philosophy, before mindfulness entered our vocabulary, there was a Roman emperor whose private journal would become one of history's most profound guides to living well. A man whose words, written nearly 2,000 years ago, speak to our modern anxieties with startling relevance. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Born in 121 AD into privilege and eventually rising to become Emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius ruled during what historians call the Pax Romana, a time of relative peace and prosperity. Yet his reign was anything but tranquil. He faced constant war on the frontiers, a devastating plague that killed millions, political betrayal, and personal tragedy. While other emperors crumbled under such pressure, Marcus not only endured, he maintained his humanity and wisdom throughout. What was his secret? Each night, alone in his tent on the battlefield or in his palace chambers, Marcus would write to himself, reminding himself of the principles that mattered most. These private meditations, never intended for publication, reveal the inner dialogue of a man struggling to remain virtuous amidst chaos. Consider this. When news arrived that his trusted general Avidius Cassius had declared himself emperor in an attempted coup, Marcus's advisors urged swift and brutal retaliation. Instead, Marcus prepared to negotiate peacefully. When Cassius was killed by his own men before Marcus arrived, the emperor mourned rather than celebrated, even ordering Cassius's correspondence burned without reading it to avoid harboring resentment toward the conspirators. This wasn't just political strategy. It was philosophical conviction in action. What made Marcus extraordinary wasn't his title or power, but how he used the most powerful tool available to any human, the ability to choose how we respond to life's challenges. In his meditations, he wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This wasn't morbid pessimism. It was a reminder to live with urgency and purpose, to waste no time on pettiness or pointless grievances. Ask yourself, how would your priorities change if you truly lived each day as if it might be your last? What grudges would you release? What fears would suddenly seem trivial? What loves would you express more openly? Marcus's first secret. Your perception creates your reality. Change your thoughts, and you change your world. Focus on what you can control, your judgments, your values, your responses, and accept with equanimity what you cannot. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Marcus Aurelius. While many powerful leaders throughout history have been consumed by their ambitions, Marcus maintained a profound sense of gratitude despite his immense responsibilities. Roman emperors were treated as living gods. Subjects prostrated themselves. Massive monuments celebrated their glory, and their mere words could determine life or death for anyone in the empire. Such power has corrupted countless rulers throughout history. Yet Marcus worked consciously to counter this intoxication of power. In his private writings, he regularly reminded himself of his mortality and insignificance in the cosmic scale. Alexander the Great and his mule driver both died, he wrote, and the same thing happened to both. He practiced what modern psychologists call negative visualization, regularly imagining losing the things he valued most, not to induce anxiety, but to deepen his appreciation for what he had while recognizing its temporary nature. Think about that. The most powerful man in the Western world deliberately contemplating the loss of everything he valued. Why? because he understood that gratitude isn't just a pleasant emotion, it's a powerful antidote to the dissatisfaction that plagues human existence. When faced with the death of his beloved wife Faustina, after nearly 30 years of marriage, Marcus didn't hide his grief, but rather than becoming bitter, he expressed gratitude for the time they had together. He created a charity for girls in her name, had her deified by the Senate, and commissioned a temple in her honor. How often do we take for granted what Marcus recognized as extraordinary? The miracle of consciousness, the gift of each breath, the marvel of human connection. Marcus's second secret: practice deliberate gratitude, especially for the ordinary. See the wonder in existence itself. Remember that everything is borrowed, not owned, and appreciate it fully while it's here. In an age of imperial excess, Marcus lived with remarkable simplicity. While he fulfilled the ceremonial requirements of his position, in private he slept on a hard mattress, wore simple clothing, and avoided the lavish feasts typical of Roman nobility. His tutor, Diognetus, had instilled in him an appreciation for plain living. As emperor, he sold off imperial ornaments and extravagant furnishings to pay the empire's debts rather than raising taxes. When his wife criticized this frugality, he reportedly replied that nothing is more unworthy than for an emperor to increase his private wealth from the public treasury. This wasn't mere asceticism, it was a philosophical choice rooted in his understanding of human nature. Marcus recognized that desire is insatiable when left unchecked. Ambition, he wrote, means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions. In a passage that seems written for our consumer society, he observed, "If you seek tranquility, do less." Then he corrects himself, or more accurately, do what's essential, which brings a double satisfaction: to do less, better. Think about the wisdom in this approach. While we frantically add more possessions, more commitments, more goals, Marcus understood that subtraction often brings greater satisfaction. Removing the unnecessary reveals what truly matters. Consider how this played out in his life. As emperor, he simplified the legal code, reduced harsh punishments, and strengthened protections for the vulnerable: slaves, orphans, and the poor. He focused on what was essential to justice rather than adding complexity. Marcus's third secret: embrace simplicity. Distinguish between needs and wants. Find freedom in wanting what you already have rather than having everything you want. Excellence lies in quality of character, not quantity of possessions. Our life is what our thoughts make it, Marcus Aurelius. Perhaps no aspect of Marcus's philosophy is more relevant today than his approach to adversity. He didn't just endure hardship, he used it as fuel for growth. Throughout his reign, disaster seemed relentless. The Tiber River flooded, destroying much of Rome's food supply and causing widespread famine. The Antonine Plague, likely smallpox, killed perhaps a third of the population in some provinces. Germanic tribes repeatedly threatened the northern borders, requiring Marcus to spend much of his rule on military campaigns in harsh conditions. On a personal level, 9 of his 13 children died before adulthood, a pain almost unimaginable to modern parents. Yet in his writing, Marcus developed a revolutionary framework for facing adversity. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This wasn't positive thinking or denial of reality. It was a profound recognition that obstacles offer opportunities for growth that comfort never provides. Each challenge becomes a chance to practice virtues that would otherwise remain theoretical. When someone wrongs you, Marcus taught, they give you the opportunity to practice forgiveness. When you face loss, you can practice courage. When confronted with pain, you can develop endurance. He wrote, Just as nature takes every obstacle, every impediment, and works around it, turns it to its purposes, incorporates it into itself, so, too, can we transform our own obstacles into fuel for our journey. Consider how he applied this to physical suffering. Plagued by chronic chest and stomach pain, possibly from ulcers or heart disease, Marcus didn't complain or seek escape through the abundant opiates available to a Roman emperor. Instead, he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." He wasn't suggesting pain isn't real, but rather that our reaction to pain, our mental suffering about the suffering, is optional. Modern psychological research on pain management has validated this ancient wisdom. Marcus's fourth secret: transform obstacles into opportunities. See adversity as training, not punishment. Your response to challenges reveals and shapes your character far more than how you handle success. Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. Marcus Aurelius. Despite his immense responsibilities and the philosophical emphasis on reason, Marcus maintained a profound sense of wonder about existence itself. In one meditation, he contemplates the marvel of how bread is made, how wheat is planted, harvested, ground, mixed, baked, and transformed through countless processes into nourishment. In another, he marvels at the cosmic forces that create and sustain life. He saw the interconnection of all things millennia before systems thinking became fashionable. This cosmic perspective gave him both humility and awe. He wrote, "Frequently consider the connection of all things in the universe. We should not say, 'I am an Athenian' or 'I am a Roman,' but 'I am a citizen of the universe.'" This wasn't mere philosophical speculation. It informed how he governed. Under his rule, Romans extended citizenship rights to more conquered peoples, improved conditions for slaves, and established more equitable legal procedures that transcended social class. Marcus understood something essential about human flourishing. We need to feel connected to something larger than ourselves. Not to escape responsibility, but to place our brief lives in proper context. He wrote, "All things are woven together, and the common bond is sacred. For there is one universe out of all, one God through all, one substance and one law." Think about how radical this perspective was in the ancient world, which was dominated by tribal identities and us versus them thinking. Marcus saw beyond these divisions to our common humanity and shared cosmic citizenship. In our age of political polarization, environmental crisis, and technological isolation, Marcus's vision of universal connection is more relevant than ever. When we recognize our place in the larger tapestry of existence, petty conflicts and momentary setbacks lose their power over us. Marcus's fifth secret: adopt the cosmic perspective. Remember your place in the vast expanse of time and space. This doesn't diminish your importance. It liberates you from the prison of self-absorption and connects you to all that is. An extraordinary detail about Marcus's life is often overlooked. Despite his wisdom and virtue, he named his son Commodus as his successor, a decision that proved disastrous. Commodus became one of Rome's worst emperors, ending the era of the 5 good emperors and accelerating Rome's decline. Was this Marcus's great failure? Perhaps. Even the wisest among us have blind spots, especially regarding those we love. Or perhaps it teaches us that even wisdom has limits in the face of circumstances beyond our control. Either way, it reminds us that Marcus was fully human. Not an infallible sage, but a man striving for virtue while acknowledging his imperfection. In his meditations, he repeatedly acknowledges his failures and recommits to his principles without self-flagellation or excuse. This may be his most powerful legacy. Not perfection achieved, but the daily commitment to becoming better, no matter one's status or circumstances. 2,000 years after his death, Marcus Aurelius's words continue to guide and inspire millions. His Meditations has never gone out of print and speaks to readers today with remarkable immediacy. What if you approached your life with Marcus's mindset? What if you viewed obstacles as opportunities for growth? What if you practiced gratitude for the ordinary miracles of existence? What if you simplified your desires rather than constantly expanding them? What if you remembered your place in the cosmos whenever petty concerns threaten to overwhelm you? Consider this. Marcus wrote his wisdom while leading an empire of about 75 million people across 3 continents, facing war, plague, betrayal, and personal loss. If he could maintain philosophical equanimity under such pressure, what might be possible in your life? Marcus once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." His life embodied this direct approach to wisdom, not just knowing, but doing, not just understanding virtue, but practicing it daily in the face of life's greatest challenges. You may never rule an empire, but you face the same fundamental human struggles that Marcus did. The search for meaning, the challenge of relationships, the inevitability of suffering, the certainty of death. His wisdom offers a timeless guide to navigating these universal conditions with dignity and purpose. Remember, true power isn't exercised over others, but over yourself. The real kingdom to conquer is your own mind. If you found value in today's exploration of Marcus Aurelius's wisdom, consider how you might apply these 5 secrets in your own life. Master the art of perception. Focus on what you can control, your judgments and responses. Practice deliberate gratitude, especially for the ordinary miracles of existence. Embrace simplicity and find freedom in wanting what you already have. Transform obstacles into opportunities for growth and character development. Adopt the cosmic perspective to liberate yourself from petty concerns. Pick just one of these principles to practice this week. Notice how it changes your experience of the challenges you face. Until next time, learn from the past to create an extraordinary future. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true,